I did not read the description of the movie, so I just put it in.
Funny you should mention that. Just randomly, I watched that movie this week too. Why don't we do a review of it, Nick? Sounds like fun? Okay, let's proceed. What?
Well, because somebody likes to sit there and start changing their voice to sound like this.
What are you talking about?
Blah, blah, blah.
I don't know. I have no idea what you're
What's
speaking
next? We're going to start reviewing Hotel Transylvania?
of. Oh, that's a good
Blah,
idea.
blah, blah.
That's a good idea. I've never seen it.
You never seen Hotel Transylvania?
No. It's a kid's movie, isn't it?
So?
Yeah.
You have nieces and nephews? Watch it with them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but, I mean, I saw Pan's Labyrinth, remember? Because when we
You still can't say Labyrinth right.
whatever. Labrador. I saw Pan's Labrador.
Okay. Labyrinth.
Door. Totally killer. Usually we don't review streaming movies, but we figured why not? Let's do something modern.
It was completely random. It was completely new. I watched it and told Vic he should watch it. Next thing I know, hey, let's do it.
Let's do it because we had a lot of thoughts about this movie. Wanted to go ahead and talk about it.
And it was either this or the mean one, which Vic hasn't seen because you got to pay for that. So
Plus, I've heard it's complete trash, but...
it's trash, but it's fun trash.
Well, okay.
It's literally like you jump into a dumpster with a bunch of toys.
Oh, okay. That's the weirdest analogy I've heard all week, so...
I mean, they're broken toys, but they're still toys. You still have fun with broken toys.
So you're in the trash, but the fact that you're with toys still makes it okay.
It makes it fun.
Just to put it out there for everybody who has Amazon Prime, you can watch this movie anytime on Prime. It's probably right there on the front screen when you first turn it on because one of the movies they heavily advertise. Totally killer, just in time for Halloween season, even though it's horror, but it's kind of like horror comedy.
Horror comedy, and I will say this takes place on Halloween, sort of, ish.
Yeah. Well, there's something else, too, that's kind of weird. I don't know if it's an error, but it's, they're going to go back to the year 1987.
Mm-hmm.
From 2023, it's 36 years ago.
Yes.
But the characters in the movie keep saying 35 years. But the simple math is it's 36 years. So I don't know how they mess that up.
Let's see.
If it's 35 years, she went back to 1988, not 1987. So
was the text box? Maybe the original movie took place in 2022.
that fixes everything. If it just what throws it off is it just saying 2023. It should say 2022, and then everything falls in line.
Yeah.
Because we know they're not going to change.
Because maybe that's what it is. When they started filming the movie, it was 2022, most likely.
And the last second, they must have been like, "Hey, let's make it take place this year." But then it's just like.
But they didn't pay attention to
the. Like it has to be 35 years to because the characters actually say 35 years. So.
Oh well.
Well, it's just a small thing. It's like it's a weird thing that they didn't pick up on it, but it's like, it doesn't. It doesn't change anything. It's something if you think about it, you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. But...
I guess it just means everyone in the movie doesn't know math. I mean, we are dealing with high school kids.
Yeah, sometimes
3 of them are very horny.
Sometimes with writing errors, bad writing, you can fix it by just being like, oh, the characters are stupid. She's saying 35 years, but it's just
until the old guy started saying it.
But anyways, we're in modern times. Halloween, they live in an area where people still go trick or treating, and they have a fun Halloween, I guess.
I miss those days.
Yeah, we could go this year. What you gotta do is we gotta make ourselves look like teenagers.
Oh,
you gotta shave. We all gotta shave.
No, I got an easy one. We'll take my wife trick or treating because she's so small and young looking. She could look like a teen. Love you.
Now she's gonna split the candy with us, though, right? Because that's the whole point. We're trying to get some. Free candy.
I'm walking up to that house with her.
Okay.
Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat.
Yeah, but when you walk up there, they're gonna be like, no, get out.
I got a better one.
Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat.
Say my name 5 times in the minute. Our young main character is off to a concert, Halloween concert, maybe.
Yes, no, it's a concert for the band she likes called Killer Instinct.
Okay, why is she not doing something that has to do with Halloween? This doesn't make sense.
Because she doesn't like Halloween.
Well, I don't like her.
No, neither do I.
Because not liking Halloween is not cool. It's the best holiday.
Well, apparently, I'm guessing her friend doesn't like Halloween either because she's not dressed up for it either.
Yeah, this whole town's lame. The only cool person is the mom who's at least giving away Halloween candy to kids.
And she's dressed as Molly Ringwald from The Breakfast Club.
Ah, and their last name is Hughes, which is going off of John Hughes, who made all those teen movies, Breakfast Club, all that. He was like famous 80s director. So clearly that's all intentional. So, all right. So Nick, let me ask you a question. You get out Halloween candy, right?
Yes.
Everything's all good, going well, but then a mysterious masked person is at the door, and you're trying to give him candy. He's not answering. He's not responding. What do you do?
I shut the door in his face.
Yes. That's not what she does, though.
No, she tells him, I'm not. What does
She's
she
like, I'm
say?
not in the mood, or I'm not in the right state of mind, or something.
No, she says, I'm not in the mood for this bullshit. And then he shows her what kind of bullshit she better get in the mood for.
If there was some murders in the town from back in the day, I don't think that the killer's costume would be something like popular. It's like people would died. You know, like the idea that'd be a popular costume. I think they had the same problem with like it might have been like Scream or something.
Scream.
It's like would that be like a popular thing to be like, oh, people were actually murdered and this is the costume in your hometown?
It depends on the town.
But they make it seem in this town like it's like everybody's wearing that costume.
I think the only people really wearing the costume were the 5 tour guide people going. They're the only ones I saw in the costume besides the killer. So I don't think this town really was memorializing it, I guess you could say, like they do in Scream. Because Scream, they went over the top with it.
Yeah, and they just thought it was a cool costume, I guess. But it's still kind of weird. If I'm like the mom and my friends were killed by this person,
and how much
I'm kind of like, I don't like that.
And how much you want to bet those 5 people who went on that tour most likely were out-of-towners, not even actually from the town themselves?
Yeah, true.
Because why would somebody from the town need to take this tour?
So the idea of the mask was the director said that the idea was to like.
Oh, the mask was pretty creepy.
Well, they were taking like 80s heartthrobs, like I guess like Christian Slater, like 80s heartthrobs. Because the idea was like the last thing you see before you die is like a pretty face was the idea, and they added it took the character Johnny Bravo, the cartoon character, and they try to make like that.
I was wondering why it looked so familiar to me.
But it's like those are like all like the 80s heartthrobs kind of combined together into one, like Johnny Depp, like all, but then that mixed with Johnny Bravo. So, but anyway, so
I will say this about the mask: with some of the shots they do is actually pretty creepy.
You know, for some reason, it reminds me of the damn mask from Valentine a little bit. Remember?
No, the mask from Valentine was pretty shitty.
Yeah, well, this is better than that, but I got a little bit of that vibe. But anyways, apparently the mask dude here at her door
is the actual killer. Doesn't
like the candy she's trying to give out, and now he's gonna kill her. Serve better candy, lady. I mean,
well, the lady's gonna serve him something, but it ain't candy.
So, typically in most movies, the killer's here is gonna chase the woman, but this turns into a full-blown, quickly a John Wick fight scene. Both of them are very well prepared for this battle. I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, the woman's definitely prepared because she doesn't want to be a victim.
Well,
she even said it before. Also, I've been waiting 35 years for this moment.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about this later, but she's acting like she did get a note saying that you're next. So,
right.
So I don't know if it makes sense the way she's acting like I've been preparing because I got a note. It's how she's acting. We'll talk about that later. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but the killer's like blocking all our moves and like they're like trained fighters. Like,
yep. Oh yeah, I
haven't seen this level of fighting since Tommy Jarvis from from Friday the 13th: A New Beginning. All right.
And then all of a sudden we get the police are coming, so he walks away.
I was kind of laughing because he's like, oh shit, I'm out of here.
I thought that was funny too. I'm just like, wait, really? You're really gonna? I honestly was thinking that the killer was because I never read the description. I didn't know this was a time travel movie, so I assumed the killer was gonna walk away and then try again later. I didn't know he apparently then ran, full on Michael Myers sprinted all the way around the back.
Well, first of all, this is a little bit early in the movie to have horportation, but he comes to the back door so quickly, he had him teleported from the front yard to the backyard.
Or it's 2 killers.
Well, that did throw some people off apparently because it's so fast. Either teleportation, or it could have been a second killer.
Or he's a track star.
I feel like the mom at that point at least should have had some inkling of, let me look behind me.
Well, she looked behind her the minute that door opened up.
Well, all her John Wick skills go out the window now, and she's
that's because she was stupid.
Walking.
She literally got him down, stabbed him in the chest, and then tried to crawl away.
Well, the other thing too was like, I don't know if he's wearing a bulletproof vest or something, but him getting stabbed didn't seem to hurt him at all. Like, this dude's like a trained fighter. And I remember this later when we get to the reveal. Trained fighter, the stab does nothing to him. Complete badass. We'll see if that matches up with like who the killer is. But yeah, but then unfortunately.
But to be fair, again, is she obviously was willing to kill him when she pulled the gun out. Why is she no longer willing to kill him when she had the knife? All she had to do was stab him in the head 16 times.
Well, unfortunately for her, now she's getting stabbed 16 times.
Yeah.
Quite brutally.
And while screaming, no, stop. It's like, well, lady, you could have prevented that.
This feels like a very serious scene, and
Then
it doesn't
two
really
kids
it doesn't really
walk in.
it doesn't really match the tone of the movie because it's like too serious. But the kids walk in and they're really upset because they're not going to get any candy from this house.
So they run out screaming. We hear police sirens.
What is it, kids? There's no candy here. Oh, there's a dead body too.
Right.
You should check out that dead body.
And also, did you notice that the black girl that went into the house honestly looked like Amelia also?
Yeah.
I was sitting there like, wait, Amelia is trick-or-treat? I thought she went with Jamie.
But also, would anybody actually walk into the house?
I mean, the door was open.
I feel like you'd still probably just be like, oh, all right, well, ring the doorbell. I don't know if you'd actually walk in, per se. But
I mean, this is also teenagers we're talking about wanting candy.
they're like,
Maybe they were thinking, oh, it's Halloween. They probably have the door open because maybe they're using the bathroom.
we're gonna steal some food from the fridge.
Or, yeah.
We're gonna get something from that cabinet out.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, they could have probably gotten the jewelry off of her wrist.
Yeah, maybe they did rob her though. we didn't see the aftermath. So
Well, no, we did see the aftermath. They ran.
so our main character's name is Jamie.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, she has a dead mom, so she's in grieving now, and
Keeps getting asked questions about where her dad was, and I'm trying to figure out why she didn't mention he was with me at a concert the whole night.
yeah.
It's like that the whole time, at least the two scenes we see, I feel like they should have spent a little bit more on the police detective trying to get the father to admit he killed the mom for something stupid for that,
Yeah.
instead of what we ended up getting. But the whole time the police is trying to make her seem like, oh yeah, your dad probably killed your mom in jealousy. It's like, well, no, because the dad was with his daughter the whole night.
Yeah, on the first watch, like, all of these side characters, I wasn't really paying attention. The second one I had to pay attention because, like, you realize that, okay, all this stuff that's happening is going to come into play when she goes back in time and meets the teen version of all these people. So you see, like, you see the adult principal, you see the adult cop and all this stuff and, like, the stuff they're saying. And she's saying, oh, you never liked my parents or whatever like that. So it's like all that you have to keep in the back of your head when she goes back in time. But the same thing, I didn't really know. I kind of knew there was time travel in this movie, but I didn't know how they got there. Like, it's pretty simple that her friend has built a time machine.
Well, her friend is
They don't spend
mom.
a lot of time on that, but it's pretty.
Her friend's mom is a genius. So we'll go with that.
Yeah. You could say this beginning feels a little bit rushed because it's pretty quickly that she's like, all right, well, chased by the killer, going back in time.
Yep. Well, I mean, you kind of got to get back in time somehow because now that the fourth person of this group has been killed, who else is
We
the
should
killer's
explain, 'cause
targeting?
I don't know if we've actually explained sort of the background here. So the background of the movie is that 35 years ago, 36 years ago, there was 3 killings by a killer with the mask.
Yep. They called him the Sweet 16 killer because all 3 girls was actually their 16th birthday when they died.
And stabbed 16 times.
Yep.
So this dude loves the number 16.
Apparently.
After the three murders, he stopped all killings.
And allegedly left a note for Pam.
Which we only know because there's a podcaster in town who...
Well, he lives there.
There's a podcaster who lives there who grew up there pretty much, who reports all the conspiracy theories and everything revolving around the killer. Mm-hmm. And
Because he was still investigating.
He's been in communication with Jamie's mom, and he shows Jamie that, hey, your mom got this note back in the day saying something about you're next one day.
You're next one day.
What kind of warning is that? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, huh? Like,
It is to scare her into thinking every day it could be her last.
and hearing that's the beginning made sense to me. Then, like, when she was approached by the killer, she's acting like, I've been preparing this day, preparing for this my whole life. That
Right.
makes sense if you got a note. So,
Right.
so she definitely got a note. But anyway.
So, yep, now Jamie gets attacked. She hides in the photo booth, even though there's plenty of places to hide in this damn abandoned fair town.
Yep.
But it hides in their photo booth her friend made, and transports back to 1987 after the killer stabs the monitor.
Yep.
Which also, I wonder, how did she damage the mask?
Yeah.
Because that's also kind of got to come into play later. She damages the mask. There's like this black smudge, but I'm trying to figure out how. All I saw her do was punch. Does she have like some kind of permanent black marker on her fist?
I guess let's go with that. 'Cause I don't know.
So 1987 with a 2023 girl.
This movie's gonna lean into that joke about.
Now there is some chuckles this one has for me. Like the very first thing she sees is a guy with the FBI shirt. For those who know.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that is very problematic. And you just hear the other woman go, but I like your shirt.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I think she realizes quickly it's a whole different universe that she's in now.
Like the one woman wearing whatever the hell she's wearing, saying, "Oh well, you should be in school. Here, I'll drive you." I'm like, "Well, what about your two kids that are currently with you?
Yep.
Do they not need to be in school?"
Yep. And isn't she? Oh man, she's talking about like cocaine and stuff. And
He's like, "I know the '80s are almost over. I haven't even tried coke."
There's some funny lines here for sure. And this is where the movie becomes more like more comedy than horror, I would say.
So
the beginning was kind of horrorish, but now we're going to go mostly comedy.
Mostly comedy, except for the actual attack scenes.
Yeah. So Jamie is back in time to prevent her mother's death by stopping
the other deaths from
the
happening.
original killers.
Yes.
And I'm just going to put it out there, if that's her job, her mission here, then she sucks and she's going to completely fail at her mission.
Well, to be fair, she did try multiple different things without trying to get herself involved. Like, she tried to tell the group, hey, parties are lame.
Uh-huh.
And you'd think cool girls would be like, oh, yeah, parties are lame. No, they're just horny ladies.
Yeah,
they want the party for a reason.
Yeah, I think she thought her mom was probably like some laid-back, cool kid and not like a mean girl.
Oh, her mom was. That was honestly another funny bit. Is when you first see the mom, the first words out of her mouth is just, "You lose, bitch."
Yeah,
it's like, damn. It's like, no, that's not her. My mom's nice.
Like, nope, not what I'm saying.
You're right. And to be fair, this mom honestly did. It seemed like she was that kind of type when we saw her as her adult self. It's like, okay, you were probably one of those. Especially since your husband's saying, oh, I used to be jacked in high school. It's like, okay, you were one of those mean girls.
Yeah. Yeah, she probably told Jamie different things.
Of course.
And so Jamie's expecting one thing and then blown away by like, damn. But then also it's like, Jamie gives her the speech of like, mean girls, that's such a, an old school thing. Like, we should be lifting each other and stuff like that. And there's like,
how about I lift these?
Yeah.
And you get pinned. that got me funny.
That seems funny.
But yeah, then she goes to the cops, and now we figure out why the cops didn't solve shit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but if I was a cop, sure, this girl sounds crazy. But the minute she showed me the picture of someone attacking her, it was like, well, you're saying someone's about to die, but I'm more worried about this guy who's attacking you.
Yeah.
See, to me, that would be more of a, okay, I need to investigate this because there was someone attacked in my town.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, this guy's just like, well, who's going to die? Oh, it hasn't happened yet? Then get fucked. It's like, no. Now you wonder who the fuck attacked her.
Yeah.
You try to use your policey instincts to try to switch it over to why would someone attack you?
I think his instincts are telling him that there's some coffee and donuts waiting for him at Dunkin' Donuts. So
Doom Donuts. Even.
Yeah, he's got an appointment with a donut and a coffee. That's what his cop instincts are telling him.
Was there even Dunkin's in 1987 in a small ass town like that?
No, probably not.
Yeah, you're right.
Probably would have been 7-Eleven maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Local mom and shop coffee place.
Hey, never mess with them local mama shops.
Oh yeah, no, they have the best coffee probably.
Yeah, so now she decides to take the most logical choice because she's going to need help with that time machine.
Yeah, and she realizes that, hey, my friend's mom would be a teen right now, so
Especially-
I can just go to her classroom and be like, hey, can I talk to you?
Well, notice how I just want to bring up that every time she goes up to this person, the front desk lady, she goes, "Hey, I need to talk to Laura Creston. It's a very big emergency," and the woman just gives her the information right then and there. She goes, "Where the hell am I?"
Yeah.
It's like-
Well, not only that, they did a good job of like she's gonna give Laura this huge speech about like, you create a time travel, this overwhelming stuff basically. And I was suspecting the typical like, what are you talking about? But she's just like very quickly like, nobody knows about that book. She like believes her story instantly, and then we just cut to the next scene. I was
well,
like,
if no one knows about your book, and all of a sudden this weird girl's coming up talking about time travel, yada yada, and sounding slightly plausible because you believe in time travel,
right.
it's like, oh well, yay.
Yeah.
I mean, she even said it earlier, later in the movie. It's like, well, when you're sitting there trying to figure out time travel, it's pretty apparent that someone may come to ask for help.
That's true. Yeah. Well, okay.
The serial killer bit was surprising, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's asking a lot, but she's game to help out, I guess. So.
Then we get to that party. We meet most of our younger characters, which I say they did a good job matching the younger crew with the older crew.
They did. You could definitely, when they introduce them, they show them with a picture of their adult self.
Yeah.
And you can see like her dad, the resemblance, and her mom and everything. So.
Which that was funny because she was already sitting there saying, "Oh, he's hot. Yeah, that's Blake Hughes. That's my dad."
Oh.
And notice how around the end when she finds out about her brother, she does the exact same thing. It's like, who's he? Oh yeah, that's your brother. Why do I keep doing that? It's like I think she has a type, and her type happens to be family members.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to failure number 1, which is her letting people die. She has one job here, and
Well, to be fair,
poor Tiffany.
Well, to be fair, she changed the events a little bit because originally Tiffany was going to die in the garage.
Yeah.
Well, she mentioned that Eddie Royal was going to be a lead singer, and so the girl, instead of trying to chase Blake down, goes after Eddie. So instead of being in the garage, she's up in the parents' bedroom.
Yeah.
And of course, our main girl, Jamie, is listening to the podcast. Which, by the way, let's go off this phone a little bit. The phone at this point says 58%.
Yes.
Where the fuck did she charge her phone? Because there's absolutely no way that phone could have lasted 4 days without a charge.
Yeah.
When the second day, when literally the same night it was at 58%.
We're assuming it's probably an iPhone, or maybe not iPhone, but just a normal whatever.
Any phone.
Yeah, they're not gonna have.
Like, I'm
they're not
guessing
gonna have a USB-C.
I'm assuming
then.
I guess she turned it off because that's the only thing that would make sense.
Even when you turn it off and on and off, I feel like still 4 days. I don't know.
With no charge, unless she had a charger with her. But then even her friend said later on, "It's like we got to get you there now, otherwise you're going to be stuck here forever."
Yeah.
The phone had like 7 hours worth of battery left at 13%.
I mean, look, there's gonna be plot holes everywhere here. So
Well,
even she gets to they take a picture of her even back then in the past.
yeah,
Which feels like could cause all kinds of problem if there's a picture of her. But
yes.
okay, well,
I mean, there was a problem. The killer now knows. Oh, time travel actually did happen. I mean, to be fair, he also saw the photo booth just disappear before his eyes. I'm assuming he knew something.
well, yeah. Obviously, you had to be like, well, something's amiss there.
That's the only reason I feel like he actually believed Amelia when she came up talking about it.
Yeah. I guess when you think back to it, it's pretty obvious who the killer was. Actually, it would have to been
The
Yeah.
podcast dude.
yeah. It's just pretty obvious actually thinking about it.
But still, so we get this party where she's trying to save Tiffany, but she keeps running into Randy,
Yes.
who first throws her out and burps in her face. which I'm surprised this girl didn't kick him in the nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then she shows Randy to stop fucking with her
Yep.
by slamming his face into the counter.
Deserved it.
And this is where we get Jamie running around. Tiffany's in the bedroom trying to hook up with Eddie, but he leaves. Then again, with who the killer is, he probably could have taken on Eddie Royal.
This movie could have been presentable to kids if you just took out a few things that are like out of place there for a young audience. But yes, Tiffany, unfortunately, 16 brutal stab wounds, and she's gone.
16 brutal stab wounds. He even stabbed the bed.
He doesn't like waterbeds.
I guess not. And then at some point, Jamie leaves the note saying "stab the machine," which I guess the way she wrote the J made it look like a rune, a demonic rune.
The Curse of Thorn.
Curse of Thorn.
Yeah, Curse of Thorn because it was actually not a message from Jamie. It was a message from Jamie Lloyd from the Halloween series. She's like,
"Oh my goodness!" Anyway,
don't let Michael get my baby.
And then, of course, the police obviously sits there and goes, "Well, no one's been getting killed until you got here."
Again, fair point. She brought trouble, apparently.
She technically did bring trouble, but it was trouble they were getting not one way or the other. And I just thought it was funny. The police say, "Hey, everyone stay here. There's an investigation." Bye.
Well, and she's telling about that she's psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's funny because I always complain about in horror movies there's always a psychic character who tells everything.
I mean, this version has a psychic character who saw the future because, well, she knows it. But then there's playing off of the whole fact that you mess with stuff, it changes. So you still don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, well, this movie's not too keen on its own time travel logic, but we'll get to that later too. All right, so who's the next victim?
Next victim was supposed to be Marissa.
Yeah.
Turned into Heather.
Somehow this supposed to be a trip to the city turned into a trip to a cabin in the woods.
Well, remember, it was supposed to be a condo.
Should have been a condo, but it's a cabin. So.
Yeah, it should have been. And Jamie wants to leave, but everyone else said no because I forgot the vodka.
Yeah, but then what's his face brings the vodka. So. Blake coming through with the clutch with the vodka.
Yep. There is one thing we probably should have mentioned just because it does somewhat become relevant. There is a off-screen character because she's dead named Fat Trish.
Yes. And
remember, you can't say that's very rude.
It's problematic.
It's problematic.
Sure. Fat Trish will definitely come into play at some point.
Yes. So now that you'll have her name in your mind, let's continue.
Well, one thing I know about cabins in horror movies is that somebody always dies in a cabin in horror movies. If you see one, it means some character's about to die.
Well, here's the funny thing is apparently 2023 weed and 1987 weed are two totally different weeds.
Yeah. Apparently so.
Because Jamie has 5 pot brownies, doesn't feel anything. Everyone else has like 1 or 2 pot brownies and they're all high as hell.
Huh.
So much so that Pam does not feel that she just slit open her own hand.
Yeah.
You got Pam screaming, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to tell my mom? I can't tell her I slit my wrist open. I'll just tell her you had a bike accident." And then all of a sudden, your acting comes out. "Oh yes, I can lie."
I was better. I'd better act than that, though. Come on.
I'm sorry. That the scene may be... There you go. There's for your headache.
Oh, there you go. Saturn migraines.
But it's even funnier because it's so cringy of a scene, but it's also pretty funny just watching them lose their shit over a little cut.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like she lost her finger.
Especially considering that someone's about to be stabbed 16 times.
Well, at least it wasn't Pam or Blake.
Yeah.
And it also wasn't Marissa who was having sex with Randy in the hot tub.
And with everybody pretty much being aware of the killer, he's still able to come in there and kill her.
What's annoying is, at least Pam should be a little bit more, serious about it because she knows the situation. But yeah, until everyone and pretty much bullying Jamie the whole time, I'm like, lady, you're the most aggravating part of this movie right now. You know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the weed, but it's like,
She didn't even have weed at first.
she kind of goes in and out of like being still one of the mean girls and then also being a good person, like kind of a back and forth. So I don't know, but
But then once, I guess the blood rushed to her head, she remembers, oh yeah, there is a killer out there. Unfortunately, it's not who they originally thought it was.
and also they're too late. The killer's already
In the house.
in the house. So
To be fair, it's kind of a good thing Randy was still butthurt over his ass beating Jamie gave him. Because he locked her out, and that's how she realized, oh, there's someone in that house, because that window is unlocked
yeah,
and open.
huh? And
now Heather's being stabbed.
yeah,
Another thing I've noticed about this, besides Tiffany's death, every single scene the killer's in, he gets into a full altercation with all the characters.
yeah, and he always
Kicks her
fights them off like the past killer. Not to say that the future killer obviously was impressive too, but this past killer is like
He's taken on 3 people with minimal damage.
he's superhuman basically. He's like a Jason Michael Myers type. So
Yeah, well, so after the fight happens, Heather's dead. She's been stabbed 17 times. Runs out the house. And it was kind of funny because Blake's sitting there swinging on him, and instead of fighting, the guy just... Because instead of continuing to fight, he just turned around and just ran right out the door. I swear that was a pretty funny way. He just turned and ran.
yeah.
He was like, block, dodge, dodge, dodge. Okay, bye.
All right. Well, let's get to what was next.
The police station, where she tried to give him the napkin blood.
Now, this is on IMDb trivia, but they said that apparently the first use of DNA was early 1987. And this is October 1987 when this movie's taking place.
However, this is a small town.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had access to it, but they would have at least heard of it, though. I think.
Again, we're talking about...
Maybe not.
These cops are worse than Officers Dill and Doe. Because if it involved this guy's daughter, he pretty much checked out.
Yeah. Okay, well, fair point then. So, pretty much her napkin's not going to do anything for them then.
Well, yeah, because small town, they don't have that kind of technology. Now, if this happened, say, New York...
No, then maybe, yeah. True.
Granted, it also would have taken forever. I think the process to get the DNA match up would have taken forever at that point in time.
Yeah. Well, they got to take matters in their own hands, and they got to catch the killer
By having
at a haunted house.
Marissa pretend to go into that haunted house to give a beige.
Yes. Well, spot on.
Yeah.
Now, this is probably, honestly, my favorite scene in the movie. Everything in the haunted house. Mm-hmm. It's just a cool setup because they're all hiding in the haunted house, and they lure the killer in.
Wait until he... Unfortunately, him kicking a door in scared the girl a little bit, scared Jamie to drop a wrench that she did not have.
Pretty much destroyed the whole plan, and now they're just running from the killer and fighting him. And again, they're all getting their asses kicked.
Especially since he then took a damn sledgehammer from Blake, so he's beating Randy with it.
I was kind of shocked when the killer dies here.
Oh, yeah.
For all his stuff, he went out pretty quickly. I mean...
Well, how would you feel having a scythe go straight through your midsection?
I'd be like, man, I've had better days. I'd be like, hey, guys, I was just playing. Now call me an ambulance.
No, he was dead.
I wasn't trying to kill anybody. Well, you died instantly, pretty much.
Well, yeah, because I think at least the very top of the scythe went straight through his heart.
Yeah. Well, he did. And now we get the reveal, the Scooby-Doo reveal, where they take the mask off. He could have got away with it if it wasn't for those stupid kids.
I still love Randy's whole, man, Nerd McGee's the one who kicked my ass?
She's like, he took karate he took judo for 7 years.
Well, yeah, she says that, but then I'm sitting there thinking, but he also had a hammer. Yeah. He literally gave this guy 3 concussions.
Yeah. But
he's lucky he's alive. He's lucky he's up right now.
As a teen, though, he was pretty superhumanish for a teen, though. I don't care what classes he took. Now we
get a reveal of...
For those of you that paid attention, remember we said to store the name Fat Trish back in the back of your brains.
Yes. And in this case, it's because Doug and Fat Trish were dating. They were bound to get uber married, just like Uber Jason. But then,
What?
but then Marissa
In space?
yes, but then Marissa, Tiffany, and Heather wanted to know if a rumor about Trish was real. Invited her over, got her super drunk, let her leave drunk, and she drove off and died.
Now, here's my thing, and this may ruffle some feathers, because the movie's trying to kind of make it seem like, even Jamie's like, you guys killed her! You killed a girl! It's like, they didn't kill her. I understand that we're putting some blame on them because they got her drunk, but she still chose to drive home. And then that's at that point, it's no longer their responsibility.
So their whole thing is not the fact that they allowed her, is the fact that, or it's not the fact they got her drunk. It's the fact that they still allowed it, because there's plenty of things you can do to stop a drunk person from driving. Like, I don't know, take the damn keys.
Oh yeah, no, they were being bad people, but they weren't responsible. They didn't kill her though. I'm saying
they're still responsible.
Nah, you're being tricked in the movies. They're trying to make you like not feel bad for these characters being killed. They're trying to make you feel like, oh yeah, they deserved it because they bullied this girl.
But I'm not saying they deserved it.
But I think the movie is trying to be like, oh, it's okay that she didn't save these girls because they deserved what happened to them.
No, I'm not.
That's what I think the bigger thing's happening is the movie's trying to be like, oh yeah, well, don't feel bad about these 3 teen girls dying because this. Why else would you humanize the killer and make it seem like, oh,
because
he was just getting revenge?
Everyone prefers the sympathetic villain. Well, this ain't the 1980s anymore. It's 2023.
Well, yeah.
You need a sympathetic villain.
Everything has to be a damn metaphor about the personal trauma experience.
At the same time, these 3 girls bullied Trish a decent amount, and then had her come over.
No, they
had her drunk as shit.
They were horrible. They're horrible teen girls. But
still, you really think a teen guy is going to put 2 and 2 together of, well, this was still just an accident, or is he going to be like, well, these 3, if these 3 didn't want to bully her, this wouldn't have happened in the first place. In a sense, it's not going to help Trish now, and it doesn't mean he's all for killing them, because he's not. But also movies like this that whodunits, like all Scream, you still need that motive.
The reveals with this, at least, were a lot better than Scream 6. So. I'll say that.
You're going to get us canceled.
Scream
6 is like one of the best movies this year. Fuck that shit. So
yeah, you're gonna.
There is one more.
Someone's gonna do a whole 7 paragraphs response to that about why you're wrong, Mister.
There is now a second twist about to happen. There was a second killer.
Oh.
And not only the second killer, but this one is from the future. But remember, Doug is now dead, so there is no future Doug. In
this timeline, you're right. So, yeah, and it's kind of messed up because what's gonna happen? We'll just find out later. What's gonna happen is like really, almost everybody else got to have like a future version of themselves still, but just not this guy. But I guess he's dead. He's a murderer. So, all right. Well, the killer's back in the future.
He kills Marissa to make everything right because these 3 should be dead.
Then he kills a random reporter.
Well, it wasn't a random reporter.
It was his dad.
It was his dad. Norm Dubasage.
I guess a good side benefit for him as apparently his dad was an abusive, whatever.
Which is weird because you see in an earlier scene, while Norm was sitting there giving a speech about the killer, you see Chris, the younger Chris, sitting there smiling at him like, yeah, that's my dad. And I'm just like, this man was abusive to you?
Again, they have to humanize everybody.
Well, they should have done it correctly then by having, say, this guy giving his dad like a dirty look or something like that. It's like showing, I don't like you.
Well, that's true. That did make sense.
Because he was giving him the face of, yeah, that's my dad. I'm proud of him.
I still don't really understand.
I'm also assuming young Chris Dubasage was also a lightweight when it came to a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't understand the killer coming back in time. Because, like, to me, it's like, what she's doing has nothing to do with what he's doing, in a way. He's already killed someone in the future, so he already has his podcast story about a killer in town. What does he have to gain by
Well,
First of all, that's a huge risk just to be like, I'm going back in time.
Well, here's the funny thing. Now that they're technically now that the mystery has been solved, what's his podcast going to amount to?
But see,
so now as a second killer coming in and killing.
But what's weird is that that's going to be like, to me, that's almost like a different timeline now, though. So it's like, in his timeline, though, it's like, I get what you're saying, but already the podcast could be about the new killer because he's already killed the mom, right? So it's like,
the mom,
as long as he's done that, at least that one murder in the future, he has something he can podcast about.
But to our knowledge,
we're
not coming back to that. We're coming back to that timeline, just changed up a different way.
Yeah, and then this is where we're gonna start to get kind of confusing. I think for the audience probably too. Was kind of like, huh? This dude came back from the future, and also, so he would have came back to a garage, right? Because the time machine in the future was in the garage. So he came back to a garage in somebody's random house.
Yes, and probably killed them. And
then it was like, oh, I better get to the whatever, the carnival thingamajigger.
Yeah,
and now also the thing is too is like, there's 3 time machines technically, right? There's that phone booth originally.
Yep.
There's the one in the garage from the future.
Yes.
And now in the past they've built one in the little
quantum drop. Yeah.
When she goes back to the future, there's still going to be a time machine there that somebody else is probably going to use, and probably change everything again. So it's like,
well, how can they? They need Wi-Fi.
No, but the spinning thing, they can just figure out how to.
Well, that's because they were using the signal given from the broadcasters. But also, here's another thing: if you need Wi-Fi, that means you need a phone like this.
Yeah.
If you don't have a phone like this, you can't access Wi-Fi. In which case, that time machine is pretty much useless. Which means that killer could have gotten stuck back there.
Yeah.
Chris Dubasage probably could have gotten stuck back there if he didn't end up at the right place at the right time.
Well, that's the thing. He seems like a complete idiot for going back in time. It just hadn't made no sense.
Well, we get a fight scene that I never thought I'd see, and that's a fight scene inside a quantum drop-esque ride. I don't know what those type of rides are even called. Spinning tops?
You got to be at least a certain height to go on that ride. I'm just telling you right now.
And no food in your gut.
Yeah, that looks like a bad combination.
I don't know who likes that kind of ride. I don't.
Just the weird spitting thing of like, yeah, I don't.
But so they decide to have one more fight in there, and because this isn't Doug anymore or Killer.
Well, answer me this. One thing, this movie plays loose with like when this thing starts spinning. It looks like it's going really fast, but they got characters. They got characters coming in and out. Like first, first is her and her friend.
Yep. And the friend runs out before it fully starts spinning.
It's still moving for sure.
Yeah.
Like she jumps out all casually, but it's still going.
The mom somehow jumped in.
How does the mom get in? Like it's already spinning when she appears.
She flies.
She flew in.
She's a warlock from D&D. She was able to teleport herself in.
That's some weird reverse maternal.
I feel like,
reverse maternal instinct to save her daughter, I guess.
So to be fair, I personally would not have had the mom in the final fight at all. I would have just had the killer and Jamie, just because. Again, you're right. How did the mom get in there without being chopped into millions of pieces?
Also, thinking about it, what purpose did it serve? Really, she's gonna end up going back out anyways. So why bring her in?
Yeah. So
and all you do is make us wonder because like. She gets stabbed and then thrown out of it.
While it's going top speed.
I'm thinking like broken neck, paralyzed, something, right? Like,
she did.
Yeah, because she flies backwards with no like... Flying backwards like that, you can't even protect yourself. You're just like going to be thrown to the ground. And at that point, it looks like it's going 100 miles an hour.
Right.
It's like being thrown out of a speeding car after you've been stabbed.
Right.
And, I mean... You just added a lot of trauma to your mom's life, probably, first of all.
So...
now, but... One thing she does do is she helps unmask what's his face.
Yep, and we get older Chris Dubasage.
Reveal number 2, which by this time you kind of knew who the killer was at that point because of
if you're paying attention.
Yeah, who else could it be? Although him being the killer now begs some questions about his why are his fighting skills so amazing in that opening scene. Oh well, I'm gonna go to the plot holes at the end. I think I'll just
here's a plot hole for you. Since we did talk about how the mom being stabbed, yada yada. In the quantum drop, it has been brought to my attention. If you stand up like that in there, all the blood rushes to your feet, and he would have passed out.
He seems like he's doing all right.
He had no problem with it.
Let's be honest, that whole thing was CGI.
Fair. And
There
then
was nothing practical about that scene.
Now, there is something I would have changed with this. I would have done more. Have you seen the movie Time Machine with, what was it, Guy Ritchie, I think is his name?
No.
How dare you? My wife has seen it. She knows what I'm talking about.
I know what it is. I haven't seen it, though.
But at the end, our main character is fighting the main villain on the time machine, and it's gotten this force field up so it would protect the people inside.
Yeah.
So it's such a small space to fight in, but it is a full-blown literal fight. I would have done something like that with this just because you've already thrown in so many fight scenes already. Why not add one more other than just a few nails to the chest and a kick to pink mist?
Man, it really pays off to have a nail gun next to
Yeah,
you.
a CGI nail.
Yeah. And then
she kicked him. I don't even think she kicked him. She just pushed him.
And he
turned to pink mist.
He eviscerates. No, that was like terrible CGI. The way he eviscerates.
I just love her thing of pink mist.
Well,
they were talking about that Death Wish 3 game.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good play on that.
But he does say something that interests me because I think me and you said the same thing about Halloween 2018. You can't keep something alive after 35 years and only 3 deaths and nothing to show for it.
Well, I mean, and in Halloween 2018, yes, it sort of made sense that Laurie Strode was that traumatized. But you get to Halloween Kills, and the whole town's acting like Michael's been haunting us for 40 years, and the whole mob, they're all in on like killing Michael. I'm like, I thought the mindset was nobody really cares. It was 35 years ago, and like, 40 years ago, blah, blah. It's like 3 kills. But by Halloween Kills, everybody's like, he's been haunting the town for 40 years. We can't move on. It's like, oh, okay, Halloween Kills, really?
And also, why would podcasters care about Michael Myers 40 years later?
Yeah.
Again, 3 kills.
A podcasters coming over here from like London or something and like paying $1,000 to interview Laurie Strode and stuff. Get out of here. All right, well, the good thing is she's gone back to her own time. And now a lot of questions are going to come to mind. And
Yep, like now she has an older brother named Jamie. How is her mom not paralyzed? Does Amelia remember anything?
To begin with, she has an older brother named Jamie.
Yes.
She's now
Colette.
Colette. Which is interesting that the parents thought to name the first child Jamie.
Do they not recognize their daughter as the same woman that saved them 35 years ago, I mean.
Now, this question actually, this whole thing originally happened in Back to the Future, the same exact element where Marty helped his parents get together in the past, and then he disappears, and then he's the son, so they're like, when the parents recognize this dude that helped us get together is actually our son. And the argument's always like, well, it's been 30, 40 years, and when you're raising your child, you see them, different forms of them, so maybe it doesn't occur to you. Mm. But I would think that for the mom, being stabbed, all that stuff, her friends, all that, I would think those are like hardcore, really crystal clear memories. Mm. So she knows the face of the girl that helped her. So I can't imagine that she doesn't think something's weird here. But
it's like, damn it, we should have named her Jamie.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, and she's into sci-fi too, so she kind of would probably put the clues together.
Yeah.
But my thing was more like, why doesn't Jamie just tell them? At this point, like, hey, remember that girl that helped you? That was me! I went back in time! I guess she has to keep the time machine thing all a secret, but...
Which makes no sense.
But I'm like, at that point, I'd be like, I got a great story to tell you guys. Like, I would get some pizza and be like, you guys are not going to believe this story.
Yeah, like, why are you all beaten and bloody?
She came back to a different reality, literally.
Well, then, if that's the case...
But the mom still remembers everything.
I was about to say, if that's the case, then how come the mom has a book saying everything that's different? Meaning she remembers how it used to be.
So the only thing I could think of with that is maybe in the past, teenage Jamie had told teenage mom like about how things were back in her time. Because you're right, she made a book about the differences. But she's not from the old timeline, so she shouldn't know about how things were in Jamie's life.
Well,
in the real
you can't really go over that because also as things were changing in the past, even Chris Dubisage's memories were changing as well.
Yeah.
Which means she still could have came back to the exact same time, because she also went back to the day her mother was supposed to be killed, just a few hours prior. So Chris wouldn't have been able to kill Amelia yet.
Well, not that, but even it gets weirder. Like, okay, Jamie went back in time a couple days after her mom got killed, right?
Yes.
She goes back to early in the day before her mom is killed.
Yes.
So when she goes back, there should already be an existing Jamie there. If she went back to like the same time after she came back in time, that would make sense. But she went back to a time where there was another Jamie already there existing that day, getting ready for a concert or whatever. Right? So what the hell happened to her?
So I know what happened. Colette,
Yeah.
or Jamie, got transported into Colette's body, and Colette's body somehow got teleported into the quantum drop.
No. I mean,
none of
it makes sense.
How they go about it with what was it? Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, the theory is that, first of all, some people think it's a very dark ending in the Back to the Future. Same thing. He comes back to pretty much a new family. His parents are like richer now. Mm-hmm. He still has the same girlfriend, but the darkness is like, well, my family has all these memories of me, but it's not really me. It's like a different version of me. So it's like I don't have a shared history with them anymore, because they can bring up stories, but I wasn't there for them. But the theory is that they think like sometime in the next couple weeks, all the memories from that timeline are going to start to like seep back in, and he'll remember the old timeline, but then all the new memories from this timeline will start to come in. That's their theory. So maybe that'll happen too, because
that sounds kind of like what's going to end up happening with this one, because
yeah.
You say it's dark. It doesn't sound that dark if he still eventually remembers what's going to happen.
Basically, they say there's a delay, like when you change time and it comes back, there's a time period where things has to adjust, basically. Mm-hmm. So like maybe over the next week or two, like she'll start to remember, like, oh, okay, now I remember like my kindergarten class in this timeline, things like that, where the new memories come. If not, it's going to be a dark thing, because basically you're pretty much a stranger with a new family. Realistically, you have an older brother you don't know. It's not as like happy-go-lucky.
And a brother-in-law you don't know.
Yeah, and like even though you're still best friends with her, it's like, again, she was best friends with a different version of you. She was best friends with Colette, not the Jamie from the other timeline.
For all we know, Colette and Jamie are the exact same person.
I think even having a big brother would change your... Like, I think just fundamentally, she probably has a different personality a little bit. There's no way.
All that means is her big brother just taught her how to fight, not her mom.
It's impossible to change your family, change all that stuff, and then literally have the exact same personality. I don't see it. I think Colette's probably different, and her best friends can hang out for one day and be like, did a zombie take over my best friend? Like, you're not Colette. Who are you? And she'd be like, no, I'm Colette. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of a dark ending in a way.
Nah.
But let's get
because what I think it is
maybe the memories, if the memories start to come back in, then she can adjust to this. But otherwise, she'd been better off going back to at least where she has a place in the world. And
She's back home with her mom and dad.
And also, by the way, like I said, the dark thing is that there's an original Colette who just apparently lost her life or got replaced or something because this bitch Jamie came back and took over her life. So
they're the same person.
They're not, though. Colette was living her life with her favorite. She loved older brother. This stranger came back and took over her life, really. But really, there should be two versions of them. I just don't know what happened to the other Colette. The actual Colette. She should be there in the house, like getting like whatever. I don't know.
For all we know, the way the timeline works is Colette is or Jamie just disappeared for a couple hours and was hanging out on the quantum drop. That was probably it. Because I guarantee you, the way they were trying to make this a happy ending at the end of the day is it's just going to be like she was gone for a couple of hours.
Oh, and by the way, you were talking about does her friend remember the other stuff?
Well, I guess now that I mentioned that they went back in time to a few hours before the mom was technically killed,
yeah.
The friend would have no memory of it.
Well, not like that, but yeah, and remember in this timeline, for example, the dude Chris, the podcaster, he's like off living an entirely different life. So,
well, he was traumatized because his father was killed.
Yeah, so none of this stuff with him coming over and doing any of this stuff exists anymore. So the friend would never basically everything's like changed. So it's like in the time loop, none of that stuff would ever even happen.
Not everything changed. Colette and Amelia are still friends.
Just by somehow, I guess, yeah. Just by so the dude Chris, like, so there's never going to be any murders, no podcast, and the new timeline basically. But one thing in the book, I think I was talking about this earlier, was that in the thing she's talking about Chris, and she's like, she puts keeping an eye on him just in case. But the only person who saw who the killer was Jamie.
Yes.
This version of Jamie is the only person. He was unmasked in the time machine, and then he died, eviscerated.
Is it?
I don't know who.
So
how does she in that other timeline actually know that he was the killer?
So is it possible? Now, this is stupid because there's no way. This is going to be stupid because there's actually still no way that a dying Pam, who should be dead at this point, would have been able to clearly see this person's face. But when the mask came off, is it possible Pam saw who it was and recognized the older version? Because remember, even the younger version looked like the older guy.
The mask came off as she was flying 5,000 miles backwards. That would have been a blur, and it also would have been, again, a face that she doesn't recognize.
It would have. She could have recognized him as the older Chris Dupassage. Douche-passage.
The dude Chris after that goes to a different state like Indiana. She never sees him again. How would she even like recognize him? What are you talking about? She doesn't even know him as an adult. Remember, he's not a podcast in the town anymore. He moves to Tibet or something and becomes a monk. So,
And also, I think I know how.
There's really no explanation for it.
I still believe I know how Colette and Jamie would still, or Colette and Amelia would still be friends in this new timeline of yours. The fact that Pam and Lauren were also going to stay friends afterwards.
Well, the thing is, Lauren is the one who has all the information.
Yes.
So she's going to be like guiding that timeline towards everything being the same. Maybe even slowly putting ideas in their heads about anytime you do time travel, you're going to run into like these kind of issues. It's very rarely done properly.
It's never going to be done properly.
Because well, no.
The only way it will ever be done properly is if time travel actually starts being a thing. Yeah. And then we can find out how does it work. It's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah, but you also have to have whatever internal logic you have. You just have to like be consistent with that. This movie's all over the place. Like it has the Terminator thing of like the time loop thing where it's like, okay, this had to happen this way. Like she had to give her the rock.
It didn't have to happen that way. Notice how it all changed. All the people died in different ways, same ways.
If she went back in time to a couple days after Mom was killed, it would make more sense. But her coming back before the mom is killed, I'm like, there should definitely be another. She should run into another version of herself there. Awesome. Nah. She's going to a different timeline where there's an existing person of her.
Oh, you know what?
Or so.
There's talks of a sequel.
Really?
So that's could be the sequel. Is the original Colette of this timeline goes on a killing spree because you can't have a doppelganger.
Yeah, because
you see a doppelganger, one of you have to die.
Because guaranteed later that day, Colette's gonna come home from like she was on a weekend trip and like that. She'd be like, "Who's in my house that looks like me? Who's in my room?"
Yep, Colette's going to come back as a serial killer.
She's claiming to be Colette. That would make people go crazy and want to kill her.
No, I don't know if they're making a sequel. I hope they don't.
I don't see where you could. I don't see where you could go with it. I think we both found this movie very entertaining. The humor is pretty funny. It's kind of a mix of different stories. Back to the Future, Scream, Halloween. It's a lot of different stories combined into one thing. It has definitely the happy death they feel for sure. Like the main character, didn't love her, but liked her. The characters were all pretty stupid for the most part. Like,
well, they were horny teenagers.
Yeah, they're pretty dumb, but I guess in a funny way. So, it felt like a Disney Channel movie, but then it felt like there was all these like brutal scenes also, and like some humor that was a little bit like not Disney friendly, but a lot of it felt like a Disney movie, a Disney horror movie kind of thing, like one of those Halloween Town movies you like or whatever it is. So Halloween Village, whatever it is called. Halloween Lane. What is it? Halloween Nilbog.
Halloween Town.
Yeah, what are those Disney movies you guys like?
Halloween Town, Hocus Pocus.
Oh, well, I know Hocus Pocus.
Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, Scream Team.
Yeah, this felt like that. I mean,
Don't Look Under the Bed.
This felt like that, even though I haven't seen those movies. This feels like that kind of to me, like a Disney horror movie. Yeah, that Yeah, so the time travel movies always ask way too many questions that don't have answers, and at the end of this movie, there's, I mean, a mountain full of plot holes. So, but all that said, for me, I'm falling at about 2.5 stars. I think it's entertaining. I do prefer Happy Death Day, which is more like a 3 stars to me, but I did overall enjoy this, and I think maybe every couple years. Well, I don't know if I'd necessarily rewatch it again, but I probably won't revisit it. But I would recommend other people to watch it at least once. So I'm probably around 2.5 stars, and it's pretty good. The worst thing I can say about it is it's forgettable. Like it's not a movie that stays with you that you really think about afterwards. It's like pretty forgettable. The character's forgettable.
So for me, this movie is definitely it goes more on the fun side versus serious. If this movie was serious, honestly, it would actually be a downfall for this movie. Yeah. It is fun, has some pretty decently funny moments. The kills when the movie needs to be serious is actually extremely serious, and it's pretty. And even those scenes can be fun with some of the fights that go on in it, and the fights are actually done pretty well. Mortal Kombat, take notes.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, overall, I like the characters. They're stupid, but they remind me of those 1987 jock bullies that you just wanted to punch in the face. And you know what? One of these characters got a hammer to the face, so I was happy.
They are really stupid.
Well, they were horny teenagers.
Yes.
So overall, this is going to be one of those movies where as long as it's free, I'm going to most likely revisit it once a year, if not once every 2 years. It's a fun Halloween movie.
That's high praise. Jeez.
I know Vic hates it when I
don't do it.
Give it praise and then drop it.
Don't do it.
But I'm gonna have to agree with Vic on 2.5 because if it was a 3, I'd buy it. But it's one of those movies where as long as it's free on Amazon Prime.
Oh, see, I'm happy. I was saying don't do it. I thought you were gonna go like too high. It was like 3 or 3.5.
No, so if I had the inkling to buy the movie, yes, I would say 3. But I don't. It's one of those movies where as long as it's free on Amazon,
yeah,
I'll watch it.
Yeah. And actually, yeah, it's true. I mean, I said I definitely feel like similar to Happy Death Day, it has like a fun sort of a light feel that you could probably go back and rewatch it. So, but I hope they don't make a sequel. I just don't know what you would do with it.
Of this one?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I'd say there's already a sequel, Happy Death Day.
Yeah,
it's called Happy Death Day 2.
Well, and that came to theaters and stuff. So I mean, I think that's just was money motivated. But this came to streaming. Because I don't know, like, do streaming movies get sequels even? Maybe they do.
Depending on how good they are.
Yeah. Well, folks, go on to Prime, watch Totally Killer. Let us know what you think in the comments.